If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. As usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. Sounds like a good deal, so let's get to it. Story number 1, will the Doubletree Hotel survive in downtown Youngstown? The hotel business has been taking a big hit due to COVID-19, and the only hotel in downtown Youngstown has fallen behind on payments due to the city. The Doubletree Hotel in downtown Youngstown has entered into a delayed payment program with the city of Youngstown after falling behind on a $700,000 loan from the city in 2016. The city board members overseeing this developing story involving the hotel's default is led by Mayor Jamel Tito Brown, Jim Libyan, and City Interim Finance Director Kyle Miasek. Kyle Miasek said that the city does not want to see the hotel go into default, so they decided to postpone payments, according to a local Vindicator article. Now, it cost nearly $32 million to build the hotel, and about $20 million was borrowed from multiple sources, according to the local article. The company that owns the hotel, the company that owns the hotel, is currently in the process of restructuring some of those loans payments with their bank. So this story is still developing. Let's hope that the hotel can survive this terrible financial crisis brought on by COVID-19. So keep an eye on story number 1. That's why I made it in this week. Story number 2. Unsafe driving causes more local pain. A crash incident involving a police chase resulted in the death of a YSU student who was just one semester away from graduating. The specifics in this ongoing investigation are critical because this accident could have been prevented, according to the details on how it occurred in the first place. The report says that a patrol officer noticed a traffic violation, and apparently the suspect in the chase ran a red light at Albert and Hemrod Avenue, which led to the chase after the patrol officer noticed something suspicious. The report goes on to say that the suspect fled when the officer activated his lights and sirens, which then led to the suspect, 19-year-old Adrian D. Washington Jr. of Youngstown, crashing to and killing Darius Shackelford. Now, the accident is still under investigation, but puts more attention on police pursuits, safe driving habits, and road awareness. Story number 3. Another grocery store chain in Boardman could revive some old discussions. Local activists have been voicing their concerns for years to get more grocery stores inside of the inner city. There are currently very few stores for inner city residents to buy groceries. Now, more suburban communities have seen more grocery stores than anywhere else come and go. Now, what got this story in is the fact that grocery stores are even building across the street from each other in some areas. Now, inner city activists have complained for years about the need for more inner city grocery store chains because inner city residents are tired of having to travel outside of inner city limits to get groceries. Now, businesses have complained about inner city crime, but is this really the problem? Now, in this story, old discussions could be revived when it comes to grocery stores locations in the area. Now, the opening of a new Myers store in Boardman, which also just purchased, the store chain also just purchased some vacant land to build a gasoline station. Now, this could really spark some old talking points when it comes to new stores and new grocery stores and where they are located, which they're not a building inside of the inner city. So keep an eye on story number 3. That's why I made it this week. Story number 4. Aid to local schools stirs the local funding pot. Discussions is stirring the pot. Schools are given aid depending on poverty rates and how many students they have. Canfield received $617,000 while Youngstown got $22 million. Now, having 4,000 students, Youngstown received $4,641 per student. These numbers caught the attention of board members and residents from their other surrounding districts, and it's clear that the elementary and secondary school emergency relief money given out by the federal government to contain the spread of COVID-19 will be another ongoing local topic while keeping the attention on local funding. Story number 4 is just a nail biter and could possibly stay alive. That's why I made it in this week. Story number 5. Could the local community finally be seeing an end to the COVID-19 saga? The state has uplifted curfews put in place that really put a hold on some area nightlife activities. So is this a sign that the community is seeing an end to the COVID-19 saga? Now, with case numbers down and vaccination numbers increasing, there is new local optimism that we may now have the COVID-19 beast tied down. The only story keeping the COVID-19 saga alive are stories about mutations and other emerging strands. It is very clear that once the state eases shutdown measures, opens up schools, and allows businesses to carry on as usual, the COVID-19 saga may slowly be coming to an end. Story number 6. Local school issues are a ticking time bomb. Local students in the Youngstown school arena not only have to face the challenge of getting over an F grade and an administration fighting to do away with an academic distress commission, but they also have to face the challenge of returning back to in-person learning. Under the leadership of CEO Justin Jennings, who is under pressure for putting health before traditional learning, it's important to note that he now faces critical orders from the governor, who says that halting traditional learning is unacceptable after the state has been issuing out vaccines. Youngstown is one of 34 out of 609 public school districts that are fully remote. 395 school districts have returned to 5-day in-person classes. According to a local Vindicator article, the ball is now in CEO Justin Jennings' hands to announce a reopening plan. So that's why story number 6 is such a big headline. That's why I made it this week. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Whew. More local losses are projected. Youngstown City Interim Finance Director Kyle Miasak is very concerned about the city's finances heading into 2022 into 2023. The CARES Act helped lift the city to a $855,000 surplus starting 2021. But with a sharp decline in income tax collections, city officials are taking notice now. Mayor Jamel Tito Brown said that if the city has to conserve, it may have to cut a lot of services provided to city residents. One point in this story is the fact that 85% of the people who work for the city live outside of the city. That's a big point. Now, there are also some pending laws that could drastically change the city's income tax collection plans also, because a lot of these people are working from home. This story is still developing. That's why story number 7 made it to the top 2 this week. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Assessing the local timeline of the disaster brought on by COVID-19. It's been almost a year since COVID-19 hit the mainstream news outlets as a virus that had to be strategically fought. China shut down, and then when it hit the United States, the governor of Ohio decided to use the same strategy. This strategy led to local communities to not only lose mass amounts of revenue, but they also lost a lot of local businesses. The federal government has since been leaking out cash, along with debates plaguing the airwaves on how effective shutdowns actually were. Debates also surfaced about how deadly the virus was also. So now, a year later, we're all left to assess what was done wrong and what was done right from the disaster brought on by COVID-19, which has left a point of no return for a lot of people and a blame game for some. All of the fine talking points in this assessment could stir up a means of conversation for local financial markets and venues hoping for a comeback. The story is still developing, and that's why it made it to the top this week. Well, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back here in the Mediator with me, Brian West. Don't go anywhere.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.